Wall Street journalist, columnist Peggy Noonan wrote an article claiming that the back-to-work protests all come down to the class division in America, which struck a chord with you, Megan. How is that?
Yeah, it's a really interesting piece she wrote over the weekend, and it was basically talking about how this is turning into a full-blown culture war issue, and beyond the complexities of the virus and complexities of our health, it's turned into a sort of working class versus elite class issue that we are just seeing, I think, even on this show, spread everywhere. There was also a video that I wanted to bring up, but the video had too many swear words in it, so I guess we're not allowed to show it, from Dave Portnoy, who's the president of Barstool Sports. For people who don't know what Barstool Sports is, it's a sports website that averages around 66 million views per month. And he went on this rant that went completely viral, and he was saying, when did flattening the curve become finding the cure? And in it, he goes on to talk about the emotional plight of working class Americans. And I think the point you brought up earlier, Whoopi, is there's different levels of what people are willing to risk to go back to work. He himself, Dave, said that he would rather die of the coronavirus or take his chances rather than start his company over. And I don't think as many people would have responded to this video if they didn't feel the same way. And I think part of the problem, and I feel this frustration as well, is I thought we were talking about flattening the curve, and now we're in a place where it's talking about finding a cure, which is an entirely different thing to ask the American public than simply flattening the curve.
Yeah, I agree, but it always turns into, but you might, not you, Megan, but other folks might be fine, saying I'd rather do this than do that. But then that puts, it puts everyone around them. It takes their choice away. It's kind of crazy, but this is, Joy, you feel this is just politics at play?
Well, here's what I have to say about this. And Megan brings it up a lot about the class distinctions. And, I agree with Peggy Noonan in many ways. And believe me, I am one of those people who knows what financial insecurity and to be terrified of having to pay your rent, not even a mortgage, because at that point I had no property. And I had a kid. I was a single mother. I lived from paycheck to paycheck. I was on stage at Catch a Rising Star making $20 cab rides. I mean, I know what this is about. Right. I do. Which is why I am a Democrat. Because in Congress right now, the Democrats in the House have passed a $3 trillion bill that will help these families, that will put them back to work faster, that will, because they won't get sick by being out, that they want to increase unemployment insurance. I lived on unemployment insurance for probably a few years. Every time I'd get a job, I'd lose it and I'd have to get unemployment insurance. It will help people with their mortgages. It'll help people who are in these essential jobs. And yet the Republicans in Congress, in the Senate in particular, Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy, say that this is a liberal wish list. Why is it a liberal wish list? They have been very, very, enthusiastic about bailing out the banks, too big to fail, corporations, airlines. Give them all the money that they need. But the little guy, the poor guy who was on the front lines saving our lives, those people don't get help. I would suggest that everybody out there who hates the press and who's furious with everything and want to go back to work, I suggest that you call Mitch McConnell's office and you demand that they consider the Democrats' bill. Yes, it might be too much money. $3 trillion is a lot of money, but that is what the Congress is supposed to negotiate so that they can come to some kind of a decision to help these people. Right. Believe me, I know from whence I speak.
Yeah. Sonny, you think that even people struggling don't really want to risk their lives for a paycheck this way. Is that correct?
I absolutely believe that, and I'm sort of with Joy. I grew up very, very poor. My family lived paycheck to paycheck. Heck, I lived paycheck to paycheck until recently. And so the notion somehow that people want to sacrifice their lives, rather than go back to work just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And it doesn't make sense that Republicans in the government are saying that there isn't enough money. Listen, the rich keep on getting richer in this country. 83% of those tax cuts that Donald Trump and his administration were so keen on giving went to the top 1% in our country. How dare they say now that there is not enough money to give to the people that are struggling? That is ridiculous. ridiculous. It just doesn't make any sense. And we know that African Americans are disproportionately affected by this virus, dying at disproportionate numbers. So the suggestion somehow that this is a culture war, that this is a class war, doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, because what this is really about is the haves not wanting the have-nots to survive this. And that is really, really serious. And I completely agree with Joy. I mean, we have the money. We just don't seem to have the money to save these people. That's what this is about.
Well,
that is
what's
just
also
ridiculous. It's a
that
Democrat
Megan
wish
said-
list.
Well,
No, it's
hold
a
on,
Democrat wish
just
list.
let me
It's
finish my
ridiculous.
point. Let me
But the
finish my
idea
point.
that how are we going to tax
Okay,
people
we'll be right back.
if there's no economy?
You know, I was just going to say at the end of the last session we just had, I also wonder when this became about finding a cure. This was about flattening the curve, and now suddenly Washington is talking about looking for a cure, and I don't know when this happened or when that became the optimum thing, but it's just very freaky.